Okay, so good morning and welcome to the third Cyber Academic Conference. Welcome. Welcome also to the first event of the 2016 Cyberweek. We are starting this morning the Cyberweek with many events and many activities and other community meetings for all the guests and the audience that arrive all over, and we are very proud of it. We are proud of having the third time this academic conference that brings us scholars, researchers from all over the world that are arriving to this stage to spend with us one full day talking about cyber academic initiatives, cyber academic conclusions, cyber academic research that they are involved in the last few years, and we are looking forward to have at the end of this day much more understandings and results and conclusions of the last 2 or 3 years research that we are going to discuss here. We are happy that here in Tel Aviv, in this conference, we already the third year, we are proud to have here the scholars that already returned to our podium and share with us the results that they are kind of evolving results based on last year and 2 years ago topics that they were sharing with us at that time. When we are asking about what is our definition for cyber, so last year we tried to define what is the definition for the cyber that we use for our academic discussion, and we tried to explain that we, even though we are not yet defined the exact definition of cyber, we are looking to talk about why definition, something which is not just the technology, but more of the other cyber aspects that we want to discuss in this conference. I would like to share in the next few minutes the results or the research that we saw that in the last year we just collected the topics that were published only in the last year as part of the cyber research involvement in these years, and we can see that we could find topics that talk about protection and defense technologies. We can find researchers that took this idea and try to create more wider definition, something more strategic. We could find the establishment of framework for these technologies. We could find in the data and computer network security in the last year the beginning of or the involvement of taking the risk concept to the cyber research, and not just talking about we were attacked or not, but let's talk about the risk and try to calculate something more advanced about this thing. We found that there were topics that were published as the analysis and design security mechanism that try to investigate and to study better using creative ideas based on cryptographic and other technologies. We found published topics that take the challenges of the industrial world and bring it closer to the cyber. We continue to study the topic of detection and warning and trying to be quick enough to protect or to defend against cyber threats. And we found that in the last year there were results of researchers that were published about taking vulnerabilities, using big data technologies and results and understandings, and trying to create a better defense capability based on those technologies together. We found that in the cryptography, we continue the research over the world, and we are going to have a session focusing in this area in this morning. We found that we take the data flow, we try to use the identities and to see how we can protect better using both, and also other theories like game theory and other in the cyber area, which wasn't at the beginning involved with such theories. We found that information sharing is a topic that's starting to emerge, and we, as the world, we understand that we have to share information one with each other. So also the academic groups and the teams that try to study those topics publish interesting papers about information sharing, about things that are relevant to cloud and other capabilities. We found that this information sharing raised the question, what is the value to share in comparison to the price or the cost or the risk of sharing information, and also the academy try to give the academic aspect to this. When talking about sharing, the question of anonymization and sometimes even the question of attribution arise and gives us also a challenge to bring something new and something that may be based on academic ideas. And we saw interesting published topics also about these ideas that of course connect to governance, connect to the technology that we want to use, connect to the policy that we want to decide in our organizations, in our society, of what we should do with these topics of sharing information, of anonymization, and other things. We, of course, continue to investigate the topic of hardware and embedded systems, which every device and every system that we in touch with in our lives are relevant to this topic. And we see that although the industry is going forward in this thing, also the academy taking lead in specific aspects and creating interesting research. We see that the physical systems and critical infrastructure are also become important topic in the academic discussion, and we see that although, again, the industry is very strong in trying to solve the problems, in many cases, the academic perspective, when you try to solve and to bring value to the very complicated challenges that we have, so the academic aspects are important and bringing us new values. And we see interesting researches that were published this year also about this topic, and we can see things of creating frameworks or creating relevant modeling of physical and critical infrastructure, and we think it's very important. We see the topics of smart cities and Internet of Things as very important topics that rise also as topics that many people and many groups, many organizations in the world are interested to read results of such topics and studies, and we find them also interesting and starting to get the attention. And although we haven't found many publications about this, we see programs that starting to create these topics as important, and we believe that these programs will yield more publications soon. we said that we are not only focusing in the technology, so also the human interactions and the behavioral aspects of cybersecurity are very, very important, and we find them also in the focus of interesting researchers. We are going to have today a dedicated session about these topics, and we believe they are a very important part of the cyber challenge and the way of how to protect against cyber threats. We find technologies that create more sensing of these signals, and we find later capabilities or research that try to find a way to process, to analyze, and to create cyber value based on these signals. The last topic is also a topic that it is not technology, but we understand from one day to the other the importance of the legal part of all the cyber issue, the privacy questions, the policy, how to deal with the cyber crime based on our traditional legal systems, and many other things that we are happy to see that the academy is also taking part in this global discussion. The topics that I mentioned are part of this list. This is a list that we have used to try and to cover many of the topics in this very wide area, very wide arena, that we believe that we should, as a society, we have to make sure that we invest in all of these areas and not just the topics that we are used to do it for many years. That's why this is our list, and when I say our, I mean to the ICRC, the Tel Aviv University Cyber Center, that was established about 2 years ago, and now running the cyber global or the cyber generic activity in Tel Aviv University in a very good collaboration with all of the faculties and the schools, and create this topic as a university cyber center. We are very happy to announce that we have at the moment running almost 40 researchers that are part of our program, and we are also part of programs of seminars and conferences, that this conference is part of the annual program. The ICRC also involved in the governmental and industry discussions that Tel Aviv University leads. This morning we are going to have here 4 sessions: privacy and law, encryption, behavioral aspects, and cyber defense technologies. These are the 4 sessions that we combined topics to be presented this morning and the afternoon, and I'm sure that today at 5:30 we all are going to be much smarter and with a lot of knowledge about all these issues. I hope that in the lunch and networking break you will be able to talk also with part of the community that we have here. And at the end of the day, we are going to have posters sessions for the people that would like to see other research topics that we couldn't present here, but we can present them in posters later. So thank you very much for this part, and in a minute will be here our Rector of Tel Aviv University, Yaron Oz, that he completed several degrees in electrical engineering, in physics, and more in the Technion. Later, he serves as the head of the School of Physics and Astronomy, and he was part of the staff of the CERN lab in Switzerland. He was later the Dean of the Raymond and the Berkeley Sackler Faculty of Exact Sciences in Tel Aviv University, and I'm proud to invite Professor Yaron Oz to the stage to say a few words. Please.
Okay, good morning. It's actually a real pleasure for me to invite you here to host you at Tel Aviv University for this annual Cybersecurity International Workshop Conference. So cybersecurity is an issue of much importance for every country. Given the huge number of cyber attacks on Israel, for us it's naturally of particular importance. Now, if you think about life on Earth now and in the future, it is going to be based on two important concepts. One of them is information, the second is networks. And in fact, these two concepts have been central to physics for many years. Actually, they also sort of recently got into life sciences, biology, sometimes it's called system biology. And they've acquired a wide acceptance with the development of computational powers and sophisticated sensors that collect data. But what we are doing now is opposite to the laws of physics. This fact that we are collecting data, arranging it, and getting structure. There is a very fundamental law in physics. It's called the second law of thermodynamics, which says that on the average, the world goes in the direction of disorder. The total entropy, it's the opposite of knowledge and information, is increasing. This is, by the way, the reason why we never are able to live infinite amount of time. This is this law of physics. But this law of physics allows you to have statistical fluctuations, and that's what we are doing, this collection of knowledge and data. Now, information and networks, they are obviously built in the structure of many things, the Internet of Things, smart cities. It's also the underlying structure of future learning. If you think about the new ways people are going to learn, what we call life learners in the near future, it will be based on access to information, connections, and collaborations. The complexity of the network structure increases exponentially, that you know. And similarly, the data that is being collected and needs to be stored, shared, and analyzed. So this has led to a new scientific paradigm called data science. It's sometimes called the fourth paradigm. There is the experimental scientist, the theoretical scientists. The experimental is like Galileo, looking at the stars. Theoretician is Einstein. Then when computer science came, computational science became a new third paradigm, and data science is the fourth. Actually, data scientist is a very fancy name for a statistician, but it sounds much better. And while data science and machine learning are of great potential for humanity, they are also bringing with them a huge risk. For instance, if you look at medical data, which we are going to use as a basic ingredient for preventing medicine and personalized medicine, insufficient security can lead to disastrous abuse. So that's why cybersecurity is of great importance. Now, like science that becomes now very multidisciplinary, different academic disciplines join together, the same is for data science and cybersecurity. And here in Tel Aviv University, we are following this line of thinking. This established cybersecurity center is of multidisciplinary nature, as you are going to hear during the day. And it is also connected to data science activities and other activities that we have in smart cities, innovation in learning, and also basic stuff like food security and safety. Network is increasing exponentially, but also the number of people, the population on Earth is growing. It doesn't grow in the same way, it goes geometrically, but still it's very fast. And that has to be taken into account in this. I believe that the coming years are going to be very challenging for all of us that participate in these new concepts, all the new developments in these concepts of information and networks. And I think one can definitely say that we are in a historical period for humanity. So again, I would like to welcome you, and I would like to wish you a very fruitful and creative event, and hopefully you will be, I don't know if smarter, but more knowledgeable by the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Oz. The National Cyber Bureau in Israel is an organization that involves in the cyber, but also in the academic part and in the activity of the Cyber Center in Tel Aviv University. So I'm proud to invite Dr. Tal Steinherz, who is the CTO of the National Cyber Bureau. Before joining Bureau, he served in various R&D positions within the security forces for almost 20 years, leading significant development teams that specialize in communications and cybersecurity. Dr. Steinherz graduated the IDF Elite Talpiot program and received his PhD in computer science from Tel Aviv University. Dr. Steinherz, please.
Good morning, everyone. I think it's very easy to identify who is not from the academia here. We are the only people with suits here, so. But they always insist that I will say a few words at the beginning of this academic, and I'm very happy because I think that one can actually see how it was developed. So I was one of the people who had the opportunity to be here for the first academic track 2 years ago, and I think that you can see that we are now in a much larger conference room, auditorium if you say, and we have many more researchers, professors who are coming here to present their work from abroad. And I think that this kind of collaboration, international collaboration in the academic arena was part of the thing that led us, the INCB, the Israel National Cyber Bureau, to invest huge amounts of budgets, especially in Israeli terms. We're talking about something between $75 and $100 million for academic research, a joint venture between the INCB and various universities around Israel. And the challenge that we are facing is actually how that we can actually promote scientific academic research in cybersecurity, which is a very applied, very industrial form of science, without actually being involved in a way that will influence this kind of research in the wrong manner. So on the one hand, we present to the academic community several key problems that we are very much keen to come up with solutions. For example, we want to see information sharing going to the next level, overcoming all the privacy issues that will enable people to share information, very sensitive, sometimes classified information. This is one thing, for example, that we manage to have some kind of breakthrough through academic research. But in other areas, it's very difficult because academic research, scientific research should look for something in a longer period of time. The impact may be seen only in 5 or 10 years. But in this case, we are very anxious to see some results. And how can we balance between our focus on very practical issues that we are very concerned in the present, and how, on the other hand, we can contribute to see the next generation in the future. So this is one very challenging aspect, and I don't have all the answers. Let me just say that in order to be more balanced, we have made a very crucial decision once we got involved with these academic research centers. So we are not involved within the scientific committees. We want the research to come up from the researchers themselves. We want to have whatever is valuable from a scientific and academic point of view. We want to see this research going on. On the other hand, we left a very small portion, about 10% of research, that we can actually present the research question, and if there is some research group within the university who is interested enough to take this and take it in the right valuable level, then we want to see this research going on. I think that alongside with these general issues that we're concerned about, there are two other issues. How one can actually measure scientific excellence in research in cybersecurity. Because once again, the fact that it's very practical leads us also to think that we want to see results. How can we balance between the fact that we promote collaboration with industry without having this research to be industrial oriented, and once again, without having more of a normal R&D activity instead of having a really groundbreaking research activity. And the last part, which is, I think, the most challenging for Tel Aviv University, taking the very brave decision to establish an interdisciplinary research center, is how you can actually integrate all those faculties, all those people coming from various fields, and having an interdisciplinary research of people gathering together, not just a collection of research, but having real something that you combine various aspects in the same research. And I think this is what we're challenging, and I would like to see more of this interdisciplinary research going on, because I think a colleague of mine here in the audience from DHS once told me that we tried to solve cybersecurity with technology for almost a decade, and we didn't make it yet. So maybe we should combine also the knowledge from other aspects, from law, from economy, from psychological, etc. So I hope we'll have a very fruitful day, and good luck.
Thank you, Professor Oz and Dr. Steinherz. And we are just about to start, so please fasten your seatbelts, and we are starting with the first session. Our chairman of the first session is going to be Professor Michael Birenhak. Professor Birenhak is a professor of law in the Faculty of Law in Tel Aviv University. His research focuses on legal aspects of information flows, its limitations, control, and commercialization. His research covers issues such as privacy and biometrics, privacy by design, data leakage, CCTV in schools, and more. Professor Birenhak, please.